Good morning. Today we are talking about, we just listened to several chapters of the first part of the second Conversations with God book. And the main topic of today was being in the present moment. And I know this one's not going to be hitting you good, but Hitler went to heaven. And we're going to talk about all these things. So anyway, first off, you are all there is. There's nothing but you and parts of you. Because God lives within us, each individually, and we are all an individualized expression of God, that energy. God is not a person. God does not have a body. God is neither he nor she. Just is the supreme creator of everything that is or isn't. Because either way, it is. Anyway, and life is a process of creation or reaction. That's something that I got out of it. You can either be creating something new, or you can react to the way you used to do things, or the way you've been triggered, or the react versus create. You can create a new life, a new way, a new direction by not reacting. What do you think about that, Cliff?
I like the idea of creating and reacting as two manifestations of living. And yeah, I've always thought about free will and choice. And find it very free. I've always kind of had this sense that in being in the moment, you can vertically be in the past and the future.
Yes, because you can. There is only the moment. The past and the future is in the moment. Everything that you went through to be who you are today happened all in the present moment. And everything that's going to happen in the future, it's already happened in the present moment. You just haven't reached that point of the tape yet. The movie of your life, you just haven't reached that point where you actually have the experience of it. That's why we can have deja vu. Because you experience, everything already happened, right? The Big Bang, it's a Big Bang. And it set everything in motion. And we are simply rolling with that expansion and that motion. I'm getting this visual of an atom bomb when it blows off. It levels everything. It's like I've got this visual of total and complete destruction, and this line of destruction just moves outward. It's kind of like life. And I'm not meaning the destruction part of it, but everything that bomb hit before was good, and then it hit it, and then it just went, and then I have this vision. I'm trying to explain it, and it's not going well.
Well, I see it as a line of recreation.
Yes, it's completely changing everything that bomb touched. Everything. So everything that you've experienced is changing everything that you touched in the past, which is creating something new in the future. Every single thing is creating the next moment. And whether you choose to, this is not really what they talked about in the book, but it's going on a different thing. But if you constantly are in routine and you are constantly doing the same things and talking about the same past experiences and living in those past moments, and I wonder why this happened, and gosh, I wish that hadn't happened, and I'm so pissed about what happened 5 years ago, and there's people that live like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all they're doing is perpetuating, staying in that place because they're not creating. Well, they are. They're creating the same. They're creating more of that past because they won't allow themselves to let go of it and move forward. That's why we've got to keep our eyes forward, and we've got to look at the present moment, the present moment, because that's all we have. The past is a collection of memories from other present moments. But all those memories made us who we are when we woke up this morning. And the only thing that keeps us in that program from yesterday was waking up and thinking those same thoughts, reacting to those same thoughts from yesterday. But what if you were to wake up every morning and create a new belief, create a new habit, create a new way to be? And a lot of times it has to start with just your words first, because, it's hard to change who you are. It's hard, for sickness. It's really hard for people to feel that they're well when they're in pain every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise you, the people that have healed didn't focus on the fact that they hurt every day. They focused on the fact that they're healing. They're getting better. They're good. They didn't sit and talk about and dwell on and focus on the past, that disease, that thing. They don't talk about it anymore. Those people healed. Because whatever we focus on is what we're creating.
Maybe healing is letting go of the past.
Healing is letting go. I can tell you that. I've healed many times, many things, and it's about letting go. I'm actually reading a book called Healing and Recovery right now that somebody referred to me, and it's things I've already learned, but it's nice to hear again, and it's helping me remember some of the things, and it's helping what's the word? Connect some of those places where I saw dots. I'm seeing a line now. It's like I knew you had to do this and this and this, but now I know how to do this, this, and this. I didn't have all of the pieces to the puzzle. And this new book is giving me all the pieces. It's pretty freaking profound. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But we can create our life by focusing on the now, is what I'm saying, and where we want to take the life. So many people just focus on the past. Okay, we're going to talk about something else now.
Actually, I'd like to talk about one other thing in the sort of being in the present.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I go to concerts or when I'm looking at nature, I'm taking pictures of it. And my girlfriend says you should be in the present. But in fact, taking pictures of it for me is being in the present. Because I'm creating images. I'm recording the present. And I find
For the
joy in
future?
that. Not necessarily for the future, just for itself.
Okay. I've heard that before. I am an avid picture taker as well, and I understand that. When we are doing that, we're focused on creating that thing for the future, because it is for the future. Because if we were just enjoying that sunset right now, we would still have that picture in our mind. Now, would it be the exact?
I don't really. That's the thing. I don't know that I retain pictures in my mind.
I hear you.
It's just there's a line from the movie Big Chill, in which someone's talking about art and says, "Let it all just wash over you." And that's kind of that's one part of what's happening, but the other is that taking a picture for me is learning to focus on a particular element, and it's as though maybe snapping the button is not the important event. The important event is seeing and focusing and creating an image.
I hear that. I understand that. And, you know, that is great. And that is, you know, we can use the present moment to create or to react. And when we are using it to create, by like taking a picture, but by being present and creating a moment, and to use it to focus on the things that we desire instead of focusing on the things that we didn't get or don't see, or that's part of that reacting too. We've focusing on, our focus is everything, because that's why social media is what it is, and TV. It keeps people from focusing. If we could focus on our thoughts and creating the life that we desire with those thoughts, it's like children use their imagination and they create these things. We have that capability, but we as adults have been taught to not focus because there's so many things taking our attention and our focus, and the TV show and the this and the that and the social media and there's no focus. People are so scattered and so disengaged. And so they are living a life of reaction because they are not focusing on the present moment and the future. They're just reacting to everything that happens. Something else, meditation is so important, because you know that there's a verse in the Bible, be still and know. It's when we learn to focus our mind on nothing that we can allow the answers and the guidance. But we're too busy being busy and moving and going and doing and all these things to be still, to allow those ideas, those epiphanies to come. We got to be still. And so many people are scared to be still. They're scared to be silent. They're scared to be in their home and not have something playing in the background, because their mind might be going in the background. It's distraction. And the more people distract themselves, the less they have the ability to focus and create their new reality. And we all have the ability to create a new reality rather than live from reaction in the same thing that we've been going through over and over and over. That's why people, it's just cycles. That's because you keep doing the same thing over and over.
With one exception. I think there's a difference between the experience of hearing music without words, hearing instrumental.
Oh, that's different.
And like watching while the music is being created. I'm not sure I understand what's happening, but I think that listening to music is an act of creation.
It does when, how do I put this? When I am trying to write, like a blog post or something, I tend to have a meditation music going low in the background, no words, just chill. It does help me focus. It does bring in that clarity. It helps center my mind for the creative process. Same thing with painting or anything. I like to have, I'm not usually very creative with loud music going. I need just chill. Do you understand?
Actually, when I'm painting, one of the things I like to do is put on loud music.
See, we're all so different. So different. So different. What works for you doesn't work for me. And what works for my son doesn't work for every single person is different. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so hard for this whole world. Everybody wants, why can't everybody just get along? Because everybody's got a different perspective and a different background and different experiences that made them believe what they believe. And the fact that we all create our own reality, your beliefs create the reality you see and experience and live. My beliefs and experiences do the same. And imagine that times 8 billion people. That's a lot of experiences and realities because they're all different. You know, somebody's belief, for example, David's petrified of snakes. Every time he sees anything, a rope or something that's like an S on the ground, he jumps and freaks out. Because his subconscious has got him, it's a trigger for him to see something that looks like a snake because of the fear. Mm-hmm. And he's going to react to that stimuli that's nothing more than a piece of rope on the ground. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't have that background. I'm not scared of snakes. I don't have that trigger. I don't see ropes and think, oh my God, it's a snake. I look at the rope. Our perception is all based on our experiences. Mm-hmm. And it's so different for everybody. And we need to understand that as a society before we can evolve. Because too many people think, you got to see, if you just saw it from my point of view. Nobody's ever going to see it from your point of view. Ever. They're not. They'll be close, maybe. Maybe you've had some of the same experiences, but there's nobody that's going to see something and have the same exact point of view. It's just not possible. And when we come and have compassion for those different points of view and understanding and like allowance, because again, nobody's going to think like we think. Nobody's saying the things we say. You might have similarities, but you're not going to be the same, regardless. And this was a good one. Talking about an old soul. You know, we're all eternal beings with no beginning and no end. Yet, what does an old soul mean? It means that they are somebody that has a higher level of awareness and understanding than somebody that's stuck in routine and living to go to work and watch TV and 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 go to work and watch TV. Did I just describe America? Mm-hmm. Go to work and watch TV and go to work and watch TV. That sounds fucking boring to me. Anyway, you got to see yourself as great because you are. And again, most people are programmed to not see themselves as great. They're taught from childhood that you're messed up, that you're a sinner, that you're going to mess up, you're just going to screw life up and everything's wrong and blah, blah, blah. And that screws with the fact that you are an infinite being.
I think it's a challenge that I think I'm further along than most people, but the challenge for me is not just seeing that I'm great, but seeing that every person is great.
That's it. Everybody is great. But most people don't see their own greatness because they're too busy listening to the programs that have been given to them and fed to them. Just, imagine we're all like this old, what's like a first computer that they had?
The one that used tape, reel-to-reel tape?
No, I'm not trying to be that old. But you had to put in the programs. You want to play this game, so you type in this program. You type in, gosh, I forget the name of these. Back when computer screens were black and they had red typing and the Radio Shack, whatever. You had to type in a series of programs to be able to get what you wanted out of it. And we're like that. But we have the infinite everything we need is already in there. But we've been limited by the programs that we run on. Those programs that we run on are blocking our true greatness. And that's something that I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know how freaking awesome they are. Because once you realize how awesome you are and how unique you are and how perfect you are, and you can't mess it up and you can't get it wrong and you're never going to finish and everything's working for your benefit. There's just so many things that people can change, little bits, little thoughts, little old pieces of broken down programming, and change their whole life. One little change of a belief. Because a belief is nothing more than a thought you keep thinking. And if you keep saying the same things over and over, that's your belief. Anytime you put "I think" in front of anything, that's a belief that you have. That was profound for me to realize if you say, "I think blah, blah, blah," that's a belief that you have. Start to become aware of those things that you're saying, "I think," and you're like, oh, wow, do I actually want to say that? Because I don't want to say that, because I don't want that to be my new reality, or my new belief, my new experience. I've caught myself a lot lately about to think or say, "I think," and then changing it, because it was past, and it's not relevant. And same thing with all the stuff that's going on in the world. I don't tend to talk about that. I don't want to talk about sports and weather. I give zero craps about sports and weather, which is what most of society talks about. Sports and weather and movies and TVs and none of that, and war and the news, and none of that has anything to do with me. So I'm not going to talk about it. And this was talking about your group consciousness and the people that you spend time with. You will become like those. So if you spend your time around people that are lower than you in your consciousness awareness, then you're not going to lose what you've learned, but you'll forget it again. You'll start to adapt to those beliefs and things. That's why it's so important that you have an even yoke. It's very important that you have an even yoke. Like in the Bible, it talks about don't be unevenly yoked, talking about oxen with,
Yeah, I understand the image, but I'm not sure I understand the application.
Don't be around people that aren't going where you are.
You're yoked with whatever you choose to be with.
Yes.
And with whatever you express. I was saying to someone the other day not to say something that they don't believe is true, because if you say it often enough, you begin to believe it.
Yeah. And it will be your truth. I hear so many people saying, they speak their fears loudly and they're proud of their fears. Don't go over there. Don't do that. And I'm just like, let them be kids. Let kids, whatever the thing is. But people are so, when I play pickleball, for example, one person got hit in the face with a ball. Now, mind you, it's a freaking pickleball, and it really, I just don't see how it can cause any problems. But Because even if it nails you, it doesn't hurt for a second because it's a hollow plastic little ball. But all these people now are starting to wear these freaking safety glasses because of that one person that got hit in the face. And I'm like, that's like that one person getting bit by a shark and nobody going in the ocean again because of that one person. That's living your life based on a fear of somebody else's experience that was already planned for their life. It had nothing to do with you. So why, and if it's not something that you feel like you should do, then don't do it just because somebody else is doing it. Oh, they got some safety glasses. I think I need to get some safety glasses because that might happen to me. That's fear. We're not meant to be around fear. And that's, again, why you surround yourself with the people that are going to put on freaking elbow pads and eyewear and, everything to protect everything. You send your kid out with freaking 40 pads on to go around the block on his bicycle. What are you teaching him?
But I think there is a difference in gradation between living in fear and embracing a certain amount of caution and care.
Mm-hmm.
I had kind of a near-death experience in the South China Sea a few weeks ago, and it doesn't make me afraid to go on the water, but I think I'll be a little more cautious than I was.
Why?
I won't live in fear and not do things, but I might be just a tiny bit more careful.
Yeah.
Because I won't living.
Yeah. I can understand that. But because I fell down once, I'm not going to, not go do something again or not try again because I fell down and my past says, well, you fell down before, you're going to fall down again. Or that happened to Tom, Dick, and Harry, so it's going to happen to me, so I'm going to live my life differently based on what happened to somebody else.
But there is a difference between living in fear and repeating the past.
Yes. When you're scared of something, you are repeating the past by thinking that fear is going to happen again.
But doing something intrinsically dangerous and life-threatening is, I think, foolish. If you like living.
If you like living. But then think about this. There's guys that go out and do this daredevil shit every day, and that's their life, and they live for it. Were they wrong for living their life and doing? See, that everybody's got their calling and their thing, and their experiences that they are going to do. You in the China Sea, that has already been planned. That was part of an experience. What are you going to learn from it? Are you going to shrink and not do the things that you would have done had that not happened? Or are you going to go forward with caution but still do more things?
Right. That's the difference between living in awareness and living in fear, I think.
Absolutely. Because living in awareness is taking those past experiences, like, for example, the stove. You know the stove's hot, but you're not going to keep touching the stove to remind yourself. Why do we keep doing things to remind ourselves instead of just having that in the back? Don't touch the stove. It's hot.
Excuse me for a second. Alexa, what time is it?
It's right there.
It's 11:47 a.m.
Alexa, could you set a reminder for 12:10?
What's the reminder for?
Go to meeting.
Okay, I'll create a reminder at 12:10 p.m. By the way, you can now set monthly and yearly reminders. To try it, just say something like, remind me to pay bills on the 1st of every month.
Your Alexa is set on a British accent.
Yeah.
So is mine. I like it.
My son did that. Okay, here's something else that I thought was pretty impressive for them to talk about. Because, again, This book is Conversations with God, and it is meant to shake things up and get God's perspective on things. And it's really funny that if you know that God is love and peace and I had it all written down. I had a whole list of words written down. La 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 la. Peaceful and passionate and joyous. That's God. That's love. That's all it can be. It's all good. Only good. Kind of puts religion in the dust, doesn't it? Because it kind of destroys any theology of any religion, because all religions say God is vengeful and wrathful, and that's the opposite of what God is. So it's like you can't believe that a peaceful, passionate, joyful God is that one that's going to send you to hell if you steal a stick of gum.
My image of God doesn't involve God sending us to hell so much as our choosing to go to hell. We're not.
But what if there is no hell? There is no hell.
Well, to me, the definition of hell is not a place, but is a going away from God instead of going to God.
Yes, it is. That's exactly. It's a place on the vibrational scale. Is all it is. You can move away from God, and that's moving closer to fear. You can move closer to God, which is closer to love, or you can move closer to hell, which is closer to fear. That's all there is. We've got heaven and hell right here on this planet, right here in this life, because when we die on this planet, this body just dies. We don't die. We are like a butterfly that's coming out of a cocoon. Brand new, beautiful, flying, happy. Because that's all we are, is light and joy and peace. So that's all we are. Why do we think that God is anything different? You know, God doesn't even judge us. There is no right and wrong. And yet, religion tells us it's right, it's wrong, it's right, it's wrong, it's right, it's wrong. And they use an example. You know, back in the old days, it was the right thing to do to burn people at the stake for being witches. Now, that's not the right thing to do. It's the wrong thing to do. Why is it different? If right is right and wrong is wrong. Because it's always changing. And it's subjective based on the group consciousness at the time. That's why Hitler was able to do everything he did. It was the group consciousness thinking that the Jews had to be eliminated, that they were the problem. And people thought that that was going to be a solution. Until people realized, wait, this is bad. It's kind of like what's going on right now in the world. Everybody thinks that it had to go this way until it went kind of that way. And now it's like, oh, wait, that's shitty. That's not working so well. We got to pull back a little bit the other way. We got to turn our cart back the other way. We can't, it's always subjective. Always subjective. Always subjective. Based on who's looking at it. It's right or wrong. You know, something that's right for me to do in my life would be wrong for you to do because of who you are or what you are. We all have our own perspective. And I think that's amazing. And you know what? You know, talking about the news and sports and all that stuff, none of that stuff has anything to do with me. Why am I going to spend my energy talking about it or even putting it in? It has nothing to do with my life, my dreams, my hopes, my goals, my immediate anything, my family, my community. None of those things. They're just programming, getting you distracted. Distracted. So you can't focus. We have to intentionally focus to be able to create the life we want. Or we're going to keep creating the same life because we live out of routine and habit.
It's interesting you say that because I enjoy being in games. I don't necessarily enjoy watching games, and I especially don't find much pleasure in watching games on TV.
Exactly. I think it's stupid. It's like, why am I wasting? I know people that sit for 8 hours on a Sunday and watch football every weekend. And I'm like, why? What's the benefit? What does it affect your life at all? You get pissed off at the game, you didn't win the game. I don't see the point.
And it's a substantively different experience for me to watch a recording of a game versus being in the game or even being at the game.
Yeah, it's different. It's different being at the game versus on TV. Completely understand. I can use golf as an example. I've watched golf on TV. I'd rather watch paint dry in the dark than watch golf on TV. But I've been to the Masters event in St. Augustine at Palm Coast or I don't know. It was at wherever the Masters golf course is.
Augusta.
Yeah, wherever. I went. It was an amazing day. I got to see the golfers. I got to touch them. I got, that was being present, and that made it cool. But watching it on TV, nah, I'd rather watch paint dry in the dark. Because there's no excitement about, it's just not there. But when you're on the thing and you're walking around and you're experiencing it, it's different. But here's another side. Those people that sit and watch it on TV, they get the experience. That makes them happy. That's their thing.
And the difference between watching a TV show of someone performing music and watching someone performing music is that the latter is being present in the creation and being therefore part of the creation of that moment.
Mm-hmm. And the other is just a replay of a creation versus being created. It's a different vibe. You're listening to a rerun versus the original. Group consciousness. Life is not a product of chance. Human theology doesn't make any sense. And we as a people are very primitive for the lack of compassion and many things. I'm just reading my notes. Oh, and the whole purpose of Hitler, because it all had a purpose, and there's no accidents, nobody died in vain. Those people went back and they came, they're butterfly, they're fine. Although that horrible experience had to happen to show people, to show humanity to itself, to show them, oh damn, we're getting really freaked up over here. We're killing people because they don't believe in what we believe in. Some people, they think something is good until they are on the other side of it, maybe. Until they get a glimpse of the total picture and they're like, oh my God, what are we doing? And that's what's happening right now. Everybody's switching and thinking and realizing they've been lied to, they've been duped in a lot of different things. And it's all a choice based on perception. Ooh. Oh, and this sinner thing, I know I've talked about it before, but the original sin and that whole story, as a recovered Christian, I used to live by that, thinking, oh, you're going to sin and go to hell. It kind of loses its grip when there is no hell. And you realize this. that it's a state of vibration, that it's a place. It's
Place you create.
it's a feeling, not a place.
It's a place, feeling, or direction you create or choose.
Yeah. It's just God gave us free will. So if the creator of the universe that says, judge not, lest ye be judged. So God tells us not to judge because we're created in God's image and God doesn't judge. Why do you think a God who gave us free will to do whatever we want here on this earth plane would punish us for doing whatever we want? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I don't think God punishes us so much as we choose to punish ourselves.
Yes, but what I'm saying is what they teach is in religion is you're going to be punished if...
Caitlin Cockerham says, "Hi Dad, you keep mentioning entire rental until but again it is a one bedroom. I will look at all the options S and choose one. Will confirm when done."
Not sure what that means, but thank you.
But anyways, with there being no right or wrong, and everybody does what they feel is right based on their perception, which is subjective to them and their life and what they've experienced, there's no wrong. You can't do anything wrong. You can make mistakes, but mistakes aren't something you did wrong. Mistake is I didn't know any better.
You know what though? I think there's a line, or I don't know, but there's a difference between taking an action that is part of your creation and taking an action that prevents, corrupts, or destroys someone else's act of creation. I think that we're called to live our own lives, but not necessarily called to terminate others' lives.
No, we're not. But then there was Hitler, and that was God's will. I already talked about this in the book a lot, but you were sleeping.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Hitler was, to me, a result of God's will, which is not the same as being God's will.
If we are all God, then if every person has the ability for free will, God's will is what we want.
God's will is, I think, that we can choose what we want or not.
Yes.
And we can choose to go toward love, or choose to go towards hate, choose to go towards light, or choose to go towards dark, choose to go towards faith in life, choose to go to fear of life. But it's our choice.
Yes, but there's no punishment either way.
Well,
it's a choice.
It's a choice, and it's not punishment per se, but I would say, there is a reality that you can choose to go towards love or choose to go towards hate. Choose to go towards living or choose to go towards fear of life.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. But some people's path on this in this life is to experience the dark side.
Right.
In this life, I'm here to experience the light side.
But there is a difference between my choosing to experience dark and your choosing that I experience dark.
Yes, I understand that. But however it happens, it happens. There's nothing wrong with whatever happens. And, this goes into deeper, but we come into this body knowing what we signed up for. But as beings right now, you forget that you did that. So you don't realize that you die, but you came into this life knowing that was going to happen. Came into this life knowing. So there's nothing wrong. Hitler killed all the Jews, had them killed. Those people incarnated to be Jews, to be killed for this experience to change and transform humanity. It had to happen that way. Otherwise,
But then, if that's true in its fullness, why stop it from continuing?
because it showed us that it was not the best way to deal with things, and that everybody has a right to live.
That's my
But
point.
it had to come to that because before it had to come to a head before it popped. You know, this whole thing with what's going on in the world today, everything has swung so far one way, crazy. Like, I'm in Target yesterday or the other day. I walk in the women's section. It's a big picture, and one of the women in the picture had an Adam's apple. I'm like, at what point did that become okay? That there's, in the women's clothing section, a man modeling with women in a woman's sweater, wearing women's earrings. When did that become okay to start shoving down people's throats? And people are realizing it's not okay. It's not okay. That's it. But then again, people can be who they want to be. And that's my perception on it. I think it's messed up that they're teaching little kids that it's okay. You can be a boy. You can be a girl if you're a boy. You just put on different clothes. It's okay. But the world has swung so far one way, it has to go the other, is what I'm saying. Back when we were kids, men were men, women were women, and we had this I just love life. It's so amazing.
Just a moment. BFF Michelle Marchand says.
Whatever
"Cliff,
Marchand
have
says.
you contacted Ali Gore about the date of your presentation?"
So anyway. Actions unawakened because they didn't know the beautiful blossoming after death. I've already done that. Pretty much talked about it. Collective, super, loss of compassion, humanity,